Welcome everyone to today's presentation lecture on language in culture and culture in language by Linguistics with Tia. In this lecture, we'll explore how these two elements are deeply intertwined and influence each other in various ways by looking at the introduction of language and culture, how language reflects and shapes culture, and linguistic relativity. At the end of the lecture, you will be able to identify and explain key concepts related to language and culture such as linguistic relativity, idiomatic expression, and cultural identity. Let's embark on the journey of learning language and culture together by unlocking the relationship between language and culture. Language is a system of communication used by a particular speech community or the whole world. Or you can say the expressions and the ways of expression, thoughts, emotions, and feelings is called system. And this system or code is called language in the whole world. So the culture is all about the customs, arts, traditions, values of specific speech community or nation. The customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of particular nation, people or other social groups is called culture. Language plays a crucial role in the transmission and perpetuation of culture. It is a primary medium through which cultural norms, values, and tradition are communicated. So the relationship between language and culture can be explored through various perspectives. At this stage, we are exploring the relationship between language in culture. So we will explore that how language reflects and shapes culture and about Spire-Whorf hypothesis. Language as a social or cultural tool. Language acts as a cultural tool that shapes the way people perceive and interact with the world. It's not just a medium of communication, as I have said earlier, but also way of thinking and understanding reality. For example, the way different cultures use language to describe time, space, and relationship affects their unique worldview. So language is an integral component of culture, serving as a medium through which cultural knowledge, beliefs, and values are transmitted. In this way, language influences and reflects cultural perspectives. For example, the people of Amazon have very limited number of systems which consist only of terms for one, two, and many. This reflects their cultural focus on immediate experience rather than abstraction, according to Award 2005. Next concept is about Spire-Whorf hypothesis, which is also known as linguistic relativity. It suggests that the structure of language influences the way its speakers perceive and think about the world. According to this hypothesis, speakers of different languages experience the world differently because their languages shape their thoughts. For instance, languages that have multiple words for different shades of color can make speakers more sensitive to these distinctions. Likewise, this hypothesis posits that the structure of language affects its speaker's cognition and worldview. For instance, the Hopi language lacks a tense system that directly corresponds to the English past, present, and future. This has been interpreted as influencing Hopi speakers to perceive time differently, focusing more on the preparation for and the manifestation of events rather than their temporal sequence, according to Whorf 1956. Language and identity is another concept within language in culture. Language is closely tied to cultural identity. It is a marker of social belonging and a key component of cultural heritage. Through language, individuals express their identity and align themselves with particular cultural groups. For example, speaking a regional dialect can signal belonging to specific geographic or social group. Language serves as a marker of identity. For instance, in Belgium, the use of Dutch, French, or German language can indicate not only regional belonging but also political and social affiliations. According to Holmes 2030, the preservation and promotion of indigenous languages in countries like New Zealand is an effort to maintain cultural heritage and identity. First part of this lecture was about language in culture. Now we are moving towards culture in language. Culture deeply influences the structure and use of language. The ways in which people speak, the expression they use, and the norms of conversation are all shaped by cultural context. Culture norms and values deeply influence language structure and use by affecting everything from conversational etiquette to vocabulary, according to the viewpoint of culture in language. Culture norms and communication style. Different cultures have distinct communication style. For example, some cultures value direct and explicit communication, while others prefer indirect and implicit ways of conveying messages. These differences can lead to misunderstanding in cross-cultural interaction. For instance, in high-context cultures, such as Japan, communication often relies heavily on context, non-verbal cues, and implicit understanding. In contrast, low-context cultures like United States favor direct and explicit communication. For example, Japanese speakers might use silence to convey meaning, while American speakers may interpret silence as uncomfortable or negative, according to Hall 1976. Second important concepts within culture in language is pragmatics and social linguistics. Pragmatics studies how context influences the interpretation of meaning in communication. In contrast, social linguistics examines how language use varies across different social groups and situations. Both fields highlight the role of culture in shaping language use. For instance, the concepts of politeness varies across cultures, affecting how people make requests, offer compliment, or express disagreement. Pragmatics and social linguistics both reveals how cultural context shape language use. For instance, the concepts of politeness differs widely in Korean culture because there are multiple use of honorifics and varying level of formality in language, which reflects respect for social hierarchy and age, according to Brown and Levinson 1987. In contrast, English speakers often use more neutral language regardless of social status. Culture in language is about idioms, proverbs, and metaphors. Idioms, proverbs, and metaphors are culturally specific expressions that carry deep cultural meanings. They often reflect historical events, societal values, and shared experiences of community. For example, the English idiom, kick the bucket, means to die, but it may not have direct equivalent in another language, as the expression is tied to cultural understanding of death and humor. These language features carry culturally specific meanings. For example, the English idiom break the ice means to initiate conversation, stemming from the practice of breaking ice to create a path for a ship. In contrast, there is Chinese expression, and I'm giving here the literal meaning of this expression, that is, to break the pot and ask to the end, illustrating cultural emphasis on thorough understanding, according to Lakoff and Johnson. The interplay between language and culture is evident as both influence each other over time. In this way, the relationship between language and culture is bidirectional. While language can shape cultural perception, culture also shapes the evolution and use of language. Say that language is the canvas upon which the culture is painted. As culture evolves, so does language. Changes in technology, social norms, and cultural practices can lead to the creation of new words, expression, and linguistic features. For example, the rise of internet and social media has introduced new vocabulary and communication styles, like selfie, hashtag, emoji. Those are now widely understood across many cultures. This linguistic evolution reflects changes in social practice and technological advances, according to Crystal. So, multilingual societies often experience enough borrowing and mixing. For example, Spanglish, a blend of Spanish and English, is commonly spoken in the United States among Hispanic communities, illustrating cultural and linguistic blending. Such phenomena highlighting the mutual influence of languages and the cultures they represent, according to Fisherman 1987. So friend, that's all from today's lecture. If you have any question, please feel free to contact me. I'm here always to help you. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share Linguistics with Tia so you can get all new videos and lectures on linguistics and language instantly. Thank you for watching.